everybody, welcome to lesson Step Up 5. Today is Thursday, and just a reminder, we will be doing this backside of this packet today, lesson 5, but make sure you don't turn this in yet, because on Tuesday we will do Step Up lesson 6, okay? So let's continue on with our lesson. All right, so why don't you get out your pink packet and let's do week 18, day 4. Remember, these are really good to practice. I know it might get old, but the more we do these, the more ready and better you will feel once you get into 3rd grade. So why don't you go ahead, pause the video, and at the bottom it says complete the line plot as your teacher instructs. So here you have the freedom to make any line plot that you want. It could be about numbers of maybe different types of cereal that you have in your cupboard, maybe different types of candy. It's really up to you how you want to make your line plot. So you can go ahead and pause at this point, and then you can hit resume once you're ready. All right, so you go ahead and look over your answers. Okay, so let's set this aside and let's get back to our lesson in Step Up 5. So our math goal today is to see if you can write a fraction. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to practice. I'm going to show you how, and then you get to practice in your packet today. And then if you need additional practice, but you don't have to, you can do the matching lesson to this in the back of your math journal. Okay, so can you write a fraction? Let's learn about what a fraction is, and then you'll understand why we need to know how to write a fraction. So a fraction, it's not a whole number like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, but it shows equal parts of a whole. So we did dip into this in my classroom. So let's do a little review. All right, so pretend that you just ordered a delicious pizza. Okay, so I kind of try to do my best and draw you a yummy pepperoni pizza. So here's our pizza. Now, if we want to share a pizza, maybe we're going to split the pizza in half. Okay, so we're going to split it in half, right? So if I took my little pizza cutter and I cut it down the middle of my pizza anyway, I would split it into how many parts? 1, 2. I just cut it into 2 parts. So when I say 1/2, that means that the area that we divided, we're looking at one single part. So one piece of pizza would be my half, and the second piece would be your half. So let's say I ate my piece of pizza. Okay, I'm just going to color it in to show you that I ate it. All right, that piece is gone. So how much of my pizza is left over? 1 piece out of how many were there? 2. So that's where we get 1/2. I cut my pizza into halves, but 1/2 means it's 1 part out of 2. I could show 1/2 with a square. So if I was to cut my square in half, that means I have 2 equal parts. And if we're just by looking at one part, okay, no, that doesn't work. Which we're going to look at this orange shaded part, just like you'll see in your homework. This, you're going to read the shaded part. So I see one shaded part out of how many? 1, 2. So that is 1/2, 1/2. And we like to say, this one's just called 1/2 because you split it in half. Okay, so let's continue trying some different fractions. Okay, so here is a circle cut up into 3 equal parts, and we can count them. 1, 2, 3. Now, how many parts are shaded green? Okay, so 1 part is green. How many parts are there? How many equal parts are there in all? So when if you look at the lines on this circle, there's actually 3 of them, and they meet in the middle here, which create 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3. They're all the same size. So there are 3 equal parts. So in order to find the fraction, we're going to put the number of green parts over the number of equal parts. So we're saying that one part is shaded out of 3. So 1/3 of the circle is shaded green. And I can write that as 1/3. 1/3, that's how I can say it. Or I could say 1 in this little line right here. You could say it over. 1/3. This represents our fraction. So if we were to shade in this entire circle, okay, so say that our entire circle is shaded, right? Pretend that is all shaded in. Would we have any separate parts? If it was all shaded in, like a shaded in circle like this, oops, would this be a fraction? Because remember, a fraction can name an equal part of a whole, and it's not a whole number. Remember, a whole number is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if the whole thing is shaded in, that is a whole number. That means that this is a whole circle. This is one full circle. So that is not a fraction. There has to be some parts missing on our shapes in order to show that it is indeed a fraction. Okay, so let's continue practicing so you can get the hang of this. All right, so let's get to this circle. So what's our first step? We need to identify how many parts are blue in this case. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 parts are blue. And how many equal parts are there? Which means when the circle was split up by these lines, how many equal parts did it make? Ignore the color. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we're going to put the number of shaded parts over the number of equal parts. So our fraction would be I want you to guess as I write. 4 over 5. This means 4 out of the 5 parts are shaded. 4 out of 5, okay? So 4 out of the 5 parts are shaded. So why do we need to understand fractions? Well, fractions go a lot further than just this circle. You will see some other shapes today in your homework. You might see a triangle, a square, rectangles, really any shape that can be divided into equal parts. But why are fractions so important? Do you have any guesses? You could use them to describe, how much food you want. Maybe you want a whole pizza, or maybe you want half a donut. Hey, can you cut my corn of cob into thirds and so then I can share with 3 other people? Or if you're cooking or baking, you will see fractions on your measuring cup. For instance, if I need to add half a cup of water, I can measure that. Do you see? 1 over 2, which means 1/2 of a full cup. As you can see, that is halfway down to our full cup mark. All right, so fractions are so important to learn as they connect a lot of different ideas in math. All right, so I'm going to start out with a fraction this time, and I'm going to see if you have an idea as to what we need to do to our circle to show 1/8 or 1 out of 8 is another way to try to remember that. So take a moment, think of how many equal parts I would need in my circle. Press pause if you need some extra time. Okay, so I would need how many equal parts? Well, we find that by looking at the bottom, which is actually called a denominator. We look at the denominator here. Can everybody say denominator? It's like denominator. So the denominator is going to show us how many parts there are in total. So we need 8 equal parts. So I'm just going to try my best. Okay, I have 2 equal parts. Count with me. Oh, now I have 4 equal parts. Here are 6 equal parts. And finally, we have 8 equal parts. Okay, awesome. So now we have 8 equal parts. How many do we need to shade in to show that we have 1/8 of our circle shaded in? Right, 1 piece. So I'm just going to shade in 1 part of our circle of equal parts to show that we have 1 out of 8. 1 piece is shaded out of 8 total. Okay, so if the bottom is called the denominator, I think of somebody who is like dominating, like they're in charge, the boss, right? That's going to give us the number of equal parts, right? And then this one is actually called the numerator. Oops, I started to put numerator. Numerator. So the numerator is going to tell you the number of shaded parts in our fraction. Now you won't always see shaded parts, but seeing these shaded parts will help you understand what this fraction represents or how you can visualize a fraction. So if I was to look at my measuring cup again and I went to 1/8, let's see here. It's kind of worn off, but it's right here. It has 1/8, which means that 8 of these little chunks is in 1 cup. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those chunks are in 1 whole cup. Okay, I'm gonna show you a little better example of that by doing 1/4. All right, so if we have our circle, how many equal parts do we need to make? Remember, this is called our denominator. It's kind of like the boss. It tells us the big information. And then up here, this one that sits on top of this line is our numerator. It's going to represent the number of shaded spots or the one part that you're going to use. So how many equal parts do we need in our circle? Yeah, we need 4 equal parts. That's what our denominator tells us. 4 equal parts. So here I go. I have our 4 equal parts now. I could also show my 4 equal parts in a rectangle. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here are 4 equal parts, and here are 4 equal parts. See how you can use them in different shapes? So how could I show 1/4? What could I do in the circle to show 1/4? Right, I would shade in 1 part out of 4. So what is our fraction? 1/4, because 1 part is shaded out of 4 total. Here is another way to show 1/4. Okay, so what if I shaded in 2 parts? What would my fraction be then? I would have to change the numerator, wouldn't I? How many shaded in parts? Well, there's 2. On each, there's 2 out of 4. So 2/4. And when you look at this, actually, does it remind you of something that we just did? These look alike, don't they? So 2/4 is actually the same as 1/2. Oh my goodness. It's the same thing. Look it. It's like I split it in half, and half of it's shaded and half of it's not. If you can see that. So interesting. We're going to continue to practice here. Let's keep building our fraction. So now we have 2/4, right? Here is a better look at what 2/4 means, or 1/2, like I just said. Okay, so what would happen if I shaded in another equal part? What would our fraction be then? Does our denominator change? No, that shows the number of equal parts that we have all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that doesn't change. But I shaded in another equal part. So we're trying to find how many shaded parts are there. And there's 1, 2, 3. 3 shaded parts out of 4. Otherwise called 3/4. I always say this number like normal, 3, and then this number on the bottom normally has the THS at the end. So instead of saying 3/4, I would just say 3/4. 3/4. And then if I shaded in the last and final part of my circle, I would have 4 out of 4 parts shaded in. But 4 out of 4, is that a fraction? Because my whole circle is filled in. And remember what we said about that. That represents one whole. So if your whole figure is shaded in, that's not a fraction, is it? That's not a piece. That's just one whole. That's a whole number. That's not a fraction. All right, so I'm going to show you the same process, but with a measuring cup and some water. I'm going to show you what it looks like to do 1/4, 1/4, 2/4, or 1/2, 3/4, and 1 whole cup of water. Okay, so first I'm going to show you 1/4. Okay, here's another way to look at it. 1 out of 4 pieces are shaded. So 1/4 on my measuring cup is right here. So that means that if I had 1 cup of water and I split it into 4 equal parts, the 1/4 would represent 1 out of 4. So I'm going to fill my up to the 1/4 line to represent 1/4 cup of water. So 1 part out of 4 equal parts of a cup will be filled with some water. Okay, and I don't have purple water. I just put some food coloring in it so you can see it a little better. So I have my measuring cup, my 1/4 measuring cup, and I'm going to put this into my glass. And as you can see, I have 1/4 of 1 cup. So now I'm going to add another 1/4. So we're adding 2 of these, which would equal 1/2 of a cup. Okay, because half of my circle is shaded, or half of my cup is going to be full. All right, I just measured another 1/4. So now we have 2/4 or 1/2. There we go. Look, here's the proof. It fills up to the half mark. All right, now I'm going to show you 3/4, where 3/4 of our circle is shaded in. 3 equal parts are shaded in out of 4, and this is what it looks like when we are measuring. Here's our 3rd cup from our 1/4 cup measuring tool. So now we have measured out 1, 2, 3 equal parts out of 4. And to make 1 whole cup, I need 1 more, because 4 to 4 is 1. So here is my last cup. And as you can see, I go right up to the 1 cup line. So this can also represent our full circle. Okay, 1, it's a whole number. Now we have 1 cup of water. Okay, this is a little bit of a bigger cup. This actually holds 2, but I wanted to show you with 1 cup. So you could see that 4 of these filled with water equaled 1 cup, and that is the same as what we learned with our circle. Okay, so we learned about 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and a whole, and then you were able to watch it here. Okay, so go ahead and we're gonna practice in our packet now. So you were able to write some fractions and understand what those are. So why don't you go ahead and do Step Up Lesson 5 Thank you for being patient. I wanted to show you a couple different examples. Rewatch this if you want to. This takes time. So I hope you have a great day. Bye.